Today I'm going to be answering some of you guys' questions. I'm Rockstar Runner, and this is Cross Country for Life. Hi, guys. So, it's been a long time since we've made a podcast episode, and I'm going to talk about all of that in a second. But this episode, I'm going to be answering some of you guys' questions that I posted on our YouTube channel. And I'm just going to talk about what we've been up to because our lives have been really busy lately. Okay, so first of all, the reason that we have not made a lot of episodes this summer is one, because we've been really busy with a bunch of different sports, which we're going to talk about later on in the episode. But mostly, we've just kind of taken a break from podcasts for a while, and we've been focusing more on the other side of Cross Country for Life. So, our YouTube channel. Um, I'm going to try and create a website for us. And we've just been making stuff like that this summer, and we've just been kind of focusing more on that instead of the podcast. But I really enjoy making podcasts, and I know that you guys listen to them. So we're going to start trying to make more, especially together. Today, we couldn't be both here because Running Machine has some dance stuff going on. And yeah, that's what I was talking. That's what I'm talking about when I say that we've been really busy with sports this summer. We're both doing a bunch of different sports. I'm mostly doing running and swimming. I've been doing a lot of swimming this summer, so you might see some episodes about that. But Running Machine has been doing a lot of dance. She's amazing at dance. She's like the best dancer I've ever seen, as you guys have probably seen from the YouTube channel. We've been making a lot of YouTube shorts, and she's been doing a lot of her dances because she really enjoys it and she's really good at it. So good for her. But I've been making some videos about you guys have probably seen some of the videos about my ankles and how that's going, because I noticed this summer that my ankles were getting very weak when I've been running. And I think that some people asked some questions about that, which we will answer later. So basically, this episode, I'm going to be answering some of you guys' questions because I posted a video on my YouTube channel and had you guys comment. So we got a few questions that I'm going to be answering. And then I'm also just going to be answering questions that people commented on my podcast, or just things that I get asked a lot, because I know that you guys have a lot of questions listening to this. So I'm going to try and answer as many of them as possible. Okay, so the first question is from Gamer Maddie Plays. What are the best ways to become a faster runner without running out of breath so quickly? That's a really good question, actually. There are a few things that you can do for that. So, first of all, if you want to be a runner, you have to have good endurance. I mean, you can have bad endurance and still be a runner. It just works best if you have good endurance and you want to be a cross country runner. But so a few of the things that you can do to help would be breathing, sort of developing a pattern for your breath over time. That sounds really weird, but I promise that it works. I've been doing that since the very beginning. Um really focusing on your form. That sounds silly, but I promise it helps a ton. And yeah, just breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. That is gonna help you a ton. I promise, Maddie. Okay, the second question from someone is your favorite race, your worst race, and your first race. Oh wow, that's a hard question. Well, my first race was a YMCA race, and it was against other teams. So I guess it was technically considered a practice race, but it was still a real race. And it was in the woods. It was on a bunch of trails. It was pretty hilly. I can remember that part. And it was 2 weeks into the season, and that was the first season I'd ever ran ever. So I had zero experience, and I missed one of those weeks because I had the flu, and I was still a little bit sick when it came time to run, but I did it anyway because I don't know. I was really excited. It's your first race, so I did it anyway. And I mean, I was pretty sick, but I think I did okay. I can't remember it exactly, but I probably have the time somewhere. Okay, so the next question is your worst race. That's hard because I feel bad because I like all my races that I've been to, but I would say like my first like big race that was besides the little YMCA teams meeting up. This was my city's like big marathon, but I was just doing the 8K race. I don't know why I thought that I could do an 8K race, but I did. And then I accidentally ended up in the faster heat. And the people literally, like, I was with like real professional athletes. I was just some 8-year old that was running just for fun. And so my mom accidentally submitted me into the wrong heat. And so people were literally like running me over. And I was in the middle of this big city and I was so scared. And that was probably my worst race. It was definitely a good experience and it was a good opportunity for me to like get the feel of like what running real races actually is. But that was I was in a lot of pain that race and it was an 8K, which is a pretty long race and I usually prefer like 4Ks and the mile and that stuff. But yeah, I do that race every year still. The first race I just had a bad experience. Okay, so the next part of the question is what was my favorite race that I've ever raced? That's so hard because I've done so many races. Um, but I would say my favorite races are any races that allow me to be in the woods on trails. That's what I truly do really love about this sport, like being in the woods and just like running free. That's what I love about cross country so much. So any race that allows me to do that, that's my favorite race. Okay, so the next question is from someone named CV. So they said, what is your current favorite running shoe for cross country season? Oh, wow. I have a lot of favorite running shoes that I've had over the years, but this season, um, the shoe that I have been mostly running in is the Nike Pegasus Trail. I think it's the fourth one, but I really love that shoe. It has so much cushion. And from the first time that you try it on, you can just spring through the air, and it just makes it just so much fun to be in the shoe. I really love that shoe so much, specifically the Trail 4. I've tried on some of the other Nike Pegasus Trail shoes, and they're good, but the newest one, they made a lot of new changes, and I really like the shoe, so I would definitely recommend it. Okay, so someone asked, have you ran any more races since the race that you talked about in your last podcast episode? Of course I have. I just ran one last weekend. Um, Obviously I'm not chugging down red Gatorades before every race now, but of course I've still been running a lot. And yeah, definitely. Okay. So another question that someone has asked me is how to get over pre-race nerves and what race I have been the most nervous for. Um So the good thing about being on a running team is that there's going to be someone on the running team that's ran the race before you and really just like talking to them and like having their encouragement. I know that my running team always encourages each other and helps each other out if they're nervous before a race. And yeah, it makes you less nervous. So if you do that to your other teammates, then they're going to help you out when you're nervous for a race or when you are not experienced in a race. The race that I've been the most nervous for, um, so I did these indoor track nationals a while ago. I've made a lot of videos about that you guys have probably seen, but I think the reason that I was so nervous for that race is that obviously it's an indoor track nationals. Like my friends and family were watching me on TV, and that's scary. It's also like the first race that I really experienced like traveling far away for it. I mean, I'd never stayed in a hotel for my race for a race. I had never like drove hours and hours in the car for a race. Um, so yeah, I was obviously very, very nervous. And when you step onto that big track, it's like it's scary because the girls around you are like they've been doing lots of these races. I mean, you don't know that, but the girls that I was running against, they had done a lot of races, and it was track nationals, so obviously you're gonna have some nerves. But again, my teammates had ran that race before, and they were really just encouraging me. I have the best team for that. They were so nice about it, and they were like, "You're gonna be okay. It's gonna be just fine." And they ran the race with me, which obviously helped a lot to have your teammates there. But and like in every race, you step onto the track, and like when you're standing there right before the gun goes off, that's the most nervous feeling you'll ever have. I mean, it's terrifying. Okay, so someone said, um, can you tell us the story of how you got into running? What made you choose cross country? Oh, that's a really good question, actually. I've never really thought about that. I don't really remember because it was so long ago, but I do know that I was not a very athletic kid at all. I mean, I did dance when I was 3 years old, but that's about the only sport that I did up until running. When I was a little baby, my parents thought that I was going to be a soccer player because I used my legs so much and I had such strong legs and I would kick people as a toddler. But I remember I was sitting in the car with my mom one day and she was on the YMCA website signing me up for gymnastics at the YMCA because all my friends were doing it and I wanted to do it. I don't know. But when we were on the website, I saw cross country and I was like, oh, what's that? And she explained to me it's a sport where you go run in the woods a long ways. And she told me where the park was that we run at. And I was like, oh, yeah, I love that place or whatever. And I was like, I really want to do that. And she was like, no, there's no way this kid can do it. But she didn't say, like, you're going to suck at this. She basically just said, "Oh, I'm not sure. That's 3 miles. That's a long ways. Are you sure that you wanna do that?" And I was like, "Yeah." So, it took a lot of begging, but eventually she signed me up for it, and I loved it from the very beginning. It was my favorite thing to do in the whole world, and my coaches could see the potential in me, and I just loved it. Like, I loved it, and I've been doing it ever since. So I guess I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years now, and yeah, I love it just as much as I did in the beginning, if not more, and I've gotten faster every day, so that's the story. Another thing that has helped me so much with sticking with running is my community. I mean, I have such good running friends. Some of my best friends I've met through running. I mean, Running Machine. If I had never ran, we never would have became as close friends as we are now. And you really get to know people while you're running. You get to talk to them, and that's really like once you find those friends, you love running, and you really just love being with them and running with them and talking with them. And I mean, we've had so many crazy experiences while we were running. We could talk for hours about all the things that have happened to us while we've been running, and that's really what helped me find running and really just stick with it is just the community and my friends. Okay, so this question comes from my mom. She said, have you had any races recently? She knows the answer to this question that you think you could have done better. Yeah, obviously, especially during summer when it's you're running in 100-degree weather, you you think that you could have done better. And that happens to me in almost every single race. I mean, you could have done better. You could have taken that extra step and gotten a better time, but, like, sometimes you run as fast as you can, and when you do, you should be proud of yourself no matter what, even if you have that inner voice that tells you you could have done better and beats you up inside. You can't listen to that. You just should you could know if you've ran a good race or not, and if you have, you should be proud of yourself. Okay, so the last question that someone commented is, "How do you keep track of your times? I was just wondering because you run so many races." That's actually a really good question. Um, I have let's see, I have a giant notes app that I share with my whole family, and I have a bunch of goals in there for running. I have the names of all the people that I want to beat. So who knows, your name could be in there. But anyway, I keep track of all of my times. Like it goes all the way back to October 26th of 2019. I guess that might have been my first race. I don't know, but I have all my times. Like if you want to know a time, I have it. Like let's see, my 4K from last week, 2043. Yeah, so I have like all my times in this giant notes app and some of my goals, um sub 22 minute YMCA 5K. That's a goal for me. Sub 6 mile by 2023. I really hope I can do that because I'm right at the edge of 6 minutes and I want to beat it so bad. Closest I've gotten was like 6:08, but I really want to beat it, and yeah, that's just a big goal of mine, and I would be very happy if I get to do that. But that's basically how I keep track of all my times. That's it for this episode. I hope that you guys enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I did making it, because I had forgotten how much I enjoy making these, but I really do love it. So there will definitely be more podcasts coming out in the future. But in the meantime, thank you so much for listening to this. Make sure to go check out our YouTube channel because I definitely will be posting stuff about this episode on there. And yeah, bye guys.